You start your career standing in a federal courthouse hallway with a Glock 17 secured to your hip. Your badge still too new to feel like it belongs to you. The walls around you have seen decades of trials, sentences, and decisions that ended lives without a single shot being fired, and now you are part of that system. You've just completed 17.5 weeks of training, learning defensive tactics, firearms, courtroom security, and prisoner handling. But none of it fully prepares you for the first time you stand face-to-face with someone who has already accepted they might never walk free again. Your starting salary sits between $38,000 and $45,000, depending on location. Cost of living adjustments, and over time that quietly begins to consume your personal life before you even notice it. Most of your days are structured: courtroom security, prisoner transport, paperwork that documents every movement, every decision, every handoff. Beneath that structure is something unpredictable. You begin to notice the small details, the way a prisoner's tone changes, the way silence lingers too long, the way tension builds without warning, and then it happens. A routine transport turns into resistance. Not loud, not dramatic, just a shift in energy that tells you everything you learned is about to be tested. Because here's what nobody tells you. The real job isn't about control. It's about managing chaos before it fully appears. And you're still learning how fast chaos moves. Now, the job changes. Been in long enough to understand that hesitation creates danger. Now you are part of high-risk operations where decisions are made faster than explanations. Your salary moves between $75,000 and $95,000, but the real change isn't financial, it's mental. You execute dynamic entries based on intelligence gathered from informants, databases, and surveillance that is accurate just often enough to keep the system functioning. You've been on operations that started at 3 a.m., where every movement is timed, every role is assigned, and every mistake is amplified. Some nights you enter empty apartments. Other nights you enter rooms where someone is already prepared for you. You begin to notice patterns in behavior. The way fear looks different from defiance. The way silence can mean compliance or calculation. Because here's what nobody tells you. A person facing 18 months reacts differently than a person facing life without parole. One hesitates, the other commits. And in those moments, your training is no longer theoretical. It becomes the only thing standing between control and escalation. You don't think about it while it's happening, because thinking takes time. Time is something you don't always have. At this level, everything shifts. You are no longer chasing fugitives. You're protecting secrets. You enter the Witness Security Program, a system that has relocated over 19,000 witnesses and their families since 1971, rebuilding identities from the ground up. Your salary increases to $85,000 to $105,000, but the responsibility attached to it feels heavier than anything you've experienced so far. You don't just move people, you erase them. New names, new documents, new locations that must remain undiscovered. You learn how to construct lives that can survive scrutiny, ensuring every detail aligns with a history that never actually happened. But there's pressure beneath the process, because the people you protect are not ordinary. They're individuals who know things powerful enough to put entire organizations at risk, and that makes them targets. Because here's what nobody tells you. Protection isn't about presence. It's about invisibility. And if a single detail fails, if one record doesn't match, if one person recognizes something they shouldn't, the system collapses, and when it collapses, there's no time to rebuild it. You are no longer responsible for people already in custody. You are responsible for finding the ones who escaped it. You join a fugitive task force operating across 94 federal judicial districts, where your targets are individuals who have already decided they will not surrender under normal circumstances. Your salary climbs into the $55,000 to $70,000 range. But the increase comes with a cost that isn't written into any contract. Time disappears. You spend 12 to 16 hours in surveillance positions watching houses, apartments, parking lots, and buildings where nothing happens until everything happens at once. You learn patterns, who comes and goes, what cars stay too long, what movements don't make sense. And then you act. Warrants are served at unpredictable hours. It's often between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., when reaction times are slower but risks are higher. Sometimes you get your target, sometimes you don't. But every attempt carries weight. Because here's what nobody tells you. Every door you approach holds a version of reality you haven't seen yet, and sometimes the person behind it is waiting for you. Now you step away from constant execution and move into oversight. You are responsible for teams, operations, and decisions that extend beyond your direct control. Your salary reaches $100,000 to $125,000, but the increase comes with a different kind of pressure. You are no longer reacting, you are deciding. You oversee operations involving 5 to 20 personnel, managing warrants, coordinating with multiple agencies, and ensuring every plan aligns with federal procedures. Every briefing matters. Every instruction carries consequences. You review strategies that will determine how and when doors are approached, how risks are minimized, and how outcomes are controlled. But control is never absolute, because here's what nobody tells you. When something goes wrong, it doesn't matter who executed the plan. It matters who approved it. You begin to feel the weight of decisions before they happen, the anticipation of outcomes you cannot fully predict, and the understanding that even the best plans fail under the wrong conditions. You don't chase anymore. You authorize the chase, and that changes everything. Now your responsibility expands beyond teams. At this stage, survival has already filtered most people out. You are selected for specialized operations involving high-value targets, multi-agency coordination, and cases that operate at a level where failure is not publicly discussed. Your earnings move toward $150,000 to $180,000, depending on assignments, overtime, and seniority. You work with units that require precision. It's operations that involve coordination across jurisdictions, intelligence sharing systems, and response times measured in seconds. You are no longer dealing with routine cases. You're dealing with individuals who understand the system as well as you do. That changes the dynamic. Because here's what nobody tells you. The higher the level, the smaller the margin for error. Mistakes don't scale. They end. You begin to operate with a different awareness. Every movement matters. Every decision carries weight. Every second counts. There are no second attempts at this level, only outcomes. Now, you've reached the highest level. You are no longer just part of operations. You represent the entire system. As a U.S. Marshal appointed to oversee a district, you are responsible for operations that span decades of institutional history and thousands of active cases. Your compensation ranges between $180,000 and $220,000. But by now, the number has lost its meaning. You have seen the system from every angle. You have transported individuals that no one else wanted to sit beside. You have pursued fugitives that others stopped searching for. You have overseen the creation of identities that replaced lives completely. And somewhere along the way, so the job stopped being something you do, and became something you carry. Because here's what nobody tells you. The badge does not get heavier over time. Your understanding of it does. You begin to reflect on decisions made, on risks taken, on outcomes that could have gone differently, and you realize something. This was never just about enforcing the law. It was about operating in the space where control, risk, and consequence constantly collide, and learning how to stand in that space without stepping back. You oversee entire districts. It's operations that process thousands of warrants, transports, and security operations every year fall under your authority. Your compensation rises to $120,000 to $150,000, but your connection to the field begins to fade. You spend more time in briefings than in operations, more time analyzing reports than creating them. You allocate resources, manage personnel, and make decisions that affect outcomes across regions, not just individual missions. The scale increases, the distance increases, but so does the pressure. Because here's what nobody tells you. Distance doesn't protect you from consequences. It amplifies them. You are now responsible for decisions that send others into unpredictable situations. You assign risk, you distribute responsibility, you carry the outcome of both. The field becomes something you observe rather than experience, but the weight of it never leaves. It just changes form. If you think this journey was intense, wait until you see what it takes to survive inside the CIA's most secret operations. Because enforcing the law is one thing. Operating where there are no rules, something else.